So let's talk about active transport. So active transport. In active transport, this type of transport requires energy. So what does that mean exactly? What do you mean requiring energy? If we look at the hill example again, if the ball is down here, how am I going to get it up there? It's not just going to roll there. I have to do something. I have to kick it, push it, carry it, whatever. Okay, but I have to move it with extra energy. Its own kinetic energy is not going to do anything as far as going up the hill. So in active transport, solutes are moving from an area of low concentration to an getting ahead of myself, to an area of high concentration. So we're moving the ball up the hill. Okay. So there's two types of active transport across the cell membrane. So there's primary active transport and secondary active transport. So in primary active transport, we basically have solute, a low concentration of solute, going to a place where there's, or an area where there's high solute concentration. So we use ATP to phosphorylate a protein, a channel protein, to pump the solute against the gradient. Okay, so this is going to create a pump. Okay, we're going to be using ATP. All right. Now this is a uniport, so this is basically taking an area where there's low concentration of something and just shoving it in an area where there's high concentration. In co-transport, it's just going backwards. So we're phosphorylating the protein, and then the protein is taking some kind of solute to go one way against its gradient, and then taking another type of solute and sending it the opposite direction against its gradient. Okay, so just doing it together. In secondary active transport utilizes the gradient that is created by primary active transport. So what that means is as the pump is pumping this stuff against the gradient, that means the amount of solute where it's going is getting higher and higher and higher and higher. So if it diffuses, it's going to diffuse in the opposite direction from high to low. But the more solute is in that area, the faster it's going to diffuse across. And when it diffuses quickly across, it creates an energy. And it will carry something along with it. Okay, so in an antiport, so we've got the active transport going from low to high, and as that's occurring, it is creating an energy that allows for this diffusion of solute going from high to low in the opposite direction. In symport, we've got this solute going from low to high, using energy, low to high here, and with it, it's creating a energy that is bringing something else with it through diffusion. So from high to low. Okay, so it's kind of like cars that utilize trucks on the highway to draft to get better gas mileage. Okay, so it's kind of like that. Okay, so it's just pulling it with it. So this picture here just compares the active transport with passive transport. Remember, active uses energy, passive, no energy. Okay, now there is another type of transport that actually does use energy, and that's called bulk transport. And this is, active transport and diffusion, that's going to move small things in general, okay? But in bulk transport, this is also called vesicular transport. And so there's something in vesicular transport called endocytosis. And there are basically 3 types of endocytosis. So there is phagocytosis, and this is basically where the plasma membrane, this is the plasma membrane, it kind of reaches out and gobbles up something, some kind of, particle or something within the extracellular fluid. So the plasma membrane engulfs the particle. And then brings it in and puts it in a vesicle. And then in that vesicle, it can secrete, some enzymes or whatever that'll digest it or whatever. Okay, so a lot of immune system cells work that way. They engulf a bacteria, bring it in, and then get rid of it. Okay, so that's phagocytosis. The next one is Pino Cytosis. And that is similar. It's still the plasma membrane bringing in, engulfing something, but it's just engulfing fluid. So it will bring into itself like that some fluid from the extracellular fluid. And with it is going to be whatever's in that fluid, so ions or whatever. So it's kind of like cell drinking. The last one is called receptor mediated endocytosis. So it's exactly the same as this, but it has the plasma membrane here will have certain receptors on it. And those receptors will be specific to some specific particle. And if you're not that specific particle, then this receptor-mediated endocytosis plasma membrane isn't going to go get it. Okay? So those are the 3 types of endocytosis. The last one is called exocytosis. So exocytosis is the opposite of this. So you have a vesicle with something in it. It goes up to the plasma membrane, adheres to the plasma membrane, opens up, and then the thing is barfed out. Okay, so it's just the opposite. So it's just getting rid of something and barfing it into the extracellular fluid. Okay, so those are the ways that things move into and out of the cell. Okay, so passive transport, active transport, and along with active transport is bulk transport or vesicular transport, and that's endocytosis, the 3 types there, and the exocytosis.